Shabbat Shalom to you. This Shabbat morning is according to the calendar of the Jewish people, the rabbis in the diaspora. They has added one extra day to Pesach. I am totally against the idea. Not only because that makes us even hyper-religious, but it takes away what the Torah teaches. And we need to be careful that we don't fall in the trap to be more religious than to be better believers, better followers of the true God. Then, I want to tell you, because this is the schedule that we have been following, and I'm going to try from the next year to be closer to the calendar of Israel, not to the calendar of the diaspora. Sometimes it's difficult because our calendar sometimes they give us here the days of the diaspora, not the days of Israel. I don't want to follow men. I want to follow God. This is the reason that for a long time I have been in a personal campaign against religion in favor of a relationship with a Creator. I say no to religion, yes to God. Now, to me, every religion is the same. Even that people are going to get upset with me when I say that. Why? Because all the religions are man-made. Okay? Even that they supposedly start by the revelation of our Creator, and they start in a good step. They go to their own ways, and as humans that we are, we devise ways how to perform and how to do and how to make it right with their supernatural being, and we fall in the trap of paganism. And this is what I have been talking to you since we opened the book of Hasefer, the book of Vayikra Hasefer, and the book of Leviticus. And I have been trying to explain to you that the offering, the korbanot, do not have this magic power that have been inherited in many religions. To the point that we teach that the death of an animal or the blood of an animal or human being or whatever takes away the sins. And this is totally in their minds of the people, and the people who deal by superstitions or ideas that have been created through the time. It's very difficult to undo. I call it, very polite, I used to call it a misunderstanding. But now we are getting to the point of maybe we can call it to a lie that has been propagated for more than 1700 years, and then to close our eyes when we see the truth. And our Messiah told us very clear that when our Creator comes to us, He will make us free. And this is what, very interesting enough, means Pesach, means the Pesach HaMaksot, the two festivals that we are celebrating at this time of the year. At the beginning of the spring. Springtime has many wonderful meanings to the people. New life, new beginning, new things that they are going to come. Everybody prepared. The spring cleaning that we have made a part of our tradition. We clean our homes of the habits. And what the habits has is an implication about what we have been collecting through the year. These 7 years after Pesach, we are going to avoid to eat chametz. And it's interesting that the rabbinical injunctions about what is chametz and what is not chametz, and what we can eat and what we cannot eat, sometimes go from the sublime to the very ridiculous. And you ask yourself, what do I follow? Do I follow the Torah, or do I follow what men are telling me to do? Well, always they say that the rabbis, they have so much intelligence and so much understanding more than anybody else, and they understand. It's almost that they understand the mind of our Creator. And they are the only one that they can really, tell you what our Creator wants for us. And this is how religion starts. When you have those super minds of men who are the only capable to read God's mind, and then they are going to tell you exactly what God wants for you. And they become an institution by themselves. And what happens after that, it is that they need to keep the status quo. And keeping the status quo is so important that for these people it's more important to keep the position than to keep what is true. And you bring to them, or you challenge these people with the truth, they are going to deny the truth because for them it's more important to keep the positions. We see it in every religion. Doesn't matter what you tell them. At the end, what they want to say, well, it's a theological understanding. It's a spiritual understanding. It is this and it is that. Because everybody wants to tell you their own truth according to what is convenient to them. I have mentioned to you before in my previous teachings and my previous narrations of my speeches that I am giving to you. It is that when two religions agree on something, be careful, because they are going to do as follows. They are dividing their people, and they have an agreement. You don't get with my people, I don't get with your people, because if you cross me, I'm going to attack you, and I'm going to defend myself. This is the only time I want to defend myself. Then there are certain religions, they are very, very missionary minded. You have Islam and you have Christianity. Each one has their own terms. Right now Christianity is going down a little bit and Islam is growing again. And believe me or not, there is a big lie when the Rabbi said that the Jewish people, they were never missionaries. It's very obvious that they don't want to read their own history. They want to read about what happened in the Russian, when they converted the whole empire, to Judaism. They said they didn't convert anybody. That was the king of that group that decided that Judaism was the most right religion, and for that reason they followed that, but they were not convinced by anybody. Well, we are in time that we are not that naive. We are in the time that now we have grown up of believing that the elephants can fly. Now we can see other things. And this is the problem that we are facing today. Because we are basically most of our system of beliefs on rumors, and gossiping and ideas. But we do not go to the basic truth that is encountered in the revelation of God. The Torah, the revelation of God, the teachings and principles are not a legalistic system as has been made to believe it is. And it is not against men. It's totally the opposite. It's not to destroy men. It's totally the opposite. It's to help men, to build men, and to make a man to have a better life. When you read, do not kill, everybody, that's obvious, but they do not understand that this is a principle that God is teaching us because life is sacred. But how men devise this idea about life is sacred? For example, right now we have the greatest industry of abortion, and it's a great industry. But nobody is going to oppose to that industry. Why? Because it makes money. And it's good because now mentality has changed. But in the scriptures say, do not kill. Then what do? We the experts, we start defining where life starts. The Torah teaches you that life begins at the moments of conception. You know? And then if you destroy after conception anything that is in the womb of the mother, that is a crime. That's a killing. But no, we are more sophisticated. The women are going to say, we have the right over our bodies. You know? We have the right over our body. And I say to them, you are totally right. You have any right that you want to over your body. But scientifically, that seed that you have in your body, in your womb, is not any longer you. It's a totally different entity to you. It's only somebody who is there for growing. And you are only an incubator if you don't like it, the idea. You know? And nobody asked you to be an incubator. You decided to be it. Many women say, no, I was raped, I was this. Okay, I understand those ideas. But even though, going to the streams, the life that has been formed is a life. But there is another issue. Going back to this part of Pesach. Because Pesach, it is a festival of deliverance. It's a festival of coming back to our Creator. It's a festival of reuniting with who created us. It's a festival of making our things the right way and to understand why we are in this world. How many times I have told you about the ideas of the Exodus, or the getting out from Egypt. You know how many times I tell you that there is a reason there. There is a people that was formed as a nation. Our Creator allowed the people that was forming as His people to move to a place in which they were going to grow as a nation. For a period of time, they were together and they were a part of one community. But little by little, with the times and the years, they were assimilating to the host. And this host was so powerful and so strong that were imposing their ideas. And little by little, this generation that were coming started losing their own identity, to the point that they got a little bit even confused about who was the true God. And they start getting other ideas and assimilating to other gods, looking that they were fascinated by these people that were so powerful. They building such a huge mansions and palaces and huge tombs, you know, like the pyramids. All of that, they were fascinated. And they saw that these people were very powerful, that they couldn't even to go against them. But our Creator keep blessing them, multiplying them, and making them bigger. But sometimes bigger doesn't mean stronger. Because if you do not have what it takes inside you, you can be many, but you're nobody. No, and it's not the numbers, it's what you really believe. Israel has totally lost their understanding about who our Creator, who God was. Remember, when Moshe Rabbeinu was called, he was called by God, and He told him, now you have called you for this. And he was what I call it, a very reluctant leader. Reluctant in the sense that, first of all, he didn't want to be a leader. And secondly, he didn't want to go to represent a people that he himself couldn't identify with them. But was the process of that time. It was made Moshe Rabbeinu who he was. He already had a function from the beginning. Before he was born, he was already selected to do the job. Many of us, we do not understand that. You know, to us look like a hocus pocus. But you will be surprised that many of us, okay, I believe that all creation has already has a purpose. In their own life, they have something special to give. And in our life, if we need to find that line, what our Creator has given to us to be very important in this society, in this world. Moshe Rabbeinu, like I said, reluctantly at the beginning, went and obeyed God and went to talk to Pharaoh. His own people was against him. His own people didn't recognize him. And even when he said, who is your God I sent to you? Even they didn't recognize the name of their Creator. They were totally assimilated how they were going to believe in that name. Not because what their parents has already told them, but they needed to believe now in a renewal system, in a new way. What was the way? God needed to show them who He really was. They needed to see what He was doing with their own eyes. They couldn't any longer to say, this name, it is who it is. No, even they say, your forefather didn't know me through this name, but you are going to know me through this name. Why? Because they're going to see the God who acts and does what He promised. Not only going to be promises now, but now it's going to be action. And this action they were going to see. And all these people, this is very important to understand. Because we have that tendency to elevate people higher than what they are. We make heroes when they are not heroes. And we make idols when they are no idols. Today, sadly enough, look at who our idols are. Look at who are idols. Do you know, can you believe that a person who plays with a ball, who's a football player, or a soccer player, whatever, makes more money than a scientist who has brought a lot of things, Nobel Prizes? Can you believe? In 1 year, one of these men can make more money than a man who has bring so much good for humanity. Then think about that. You play with your ball, and you throw it in the ball, and you are a multi-millionaire. And what you have here, nothing. And those who have something don't have anything. This is this world that we live. Next, I talked to you a long time, and I keep talking to you about those ones who have been put in the position to be leaders and to serve. It's interesting. Those who were in position to be leaders are servants of the public, of the people. And what is the reality today? Those people are the ones that we serve. I want to give you a simple example. I went to one, and I won't mention the name of this office. I went to an office because I was asking only information about certain things that supposedly as a citizen I need to do. First of all, I need to pull a number. Okay, I pull my number because I need to wait. Okay? Okay. After I am waiting, the people who are serving, they're talking among themselves, and it's longer and longer, and you are building up, but you need to wait. Suddenly, it's your turn, and you go. And in fact, I immediately, instead to say good afternoon, good morning, why you have come here? With big faith. What do you want? I said, wait a minute. Are you not a worker for the government? What do you mean? You are not here to serve us. Do you know that we pay you? You are coming to make a problem. Get out here. Next. This is the problem. This person who is a nobody, a little bitty person, okay? Now because it's behind the government side, supposedly, now they are is the servants. But the servants don't have anything like that. They are the masters. This is the problem that we face, and we have faced it all the years. The types of government have changed, but the people are the same. I mentioned to you before that Adam and Eve have not changed. We are still Adam and Eve. Are exactly the same. If you do a DNA examination to Adam and Eve, and you do an examination of Adam and Eve today, it's the same one. They are human beings. And those who believe that you can come from the monkey and become a human being, okay, that's your problem. You have more faith than anybody else to believe in that. But the truth of the matter is, you were a man here, and you're still a man here, and there's no any improvement in you. You're exactly the same composition. You have no change. And that's the problem. Because the worst part is that we don't realize that as human beings, our material part, our humanity that we see, our what we call it flesh, is only the container of an neshama, our soul. And that has not changed. It's still the same. And this is why we need to get out of Egypt, to become humans, to become more in contact with our Creator, to have a relationship. A Creator never forced us to have a relationship with Him. He never put us a pistol on the head. If you don't follow me, you go to hell. There are many religions today that they teach you that. If you don't believe in this way, you go to hell. Our Creator, totally the contrary. He wanted to reason with us. Let's reason together. Then, let's go back to Pesach. Why 7 days of Hag Maksot, the festival of the unleavened bread? Why 7 days? Why not 1 day? Many of us right now, we need some kind of a special help for our stomachs after 7 days of matzah, no? And it's really hard to digest after a while. You know, many of us, we are looking green now, but that's okay. Many of us will say, we finish. And then these ultra-religious people, not only they had a husband, they added 1 extra day. You know, like 7 days is not enough. I say, enough is enough. Already Creator give us 7 days. I want to follow Him, not to follow you. Okay, doesn't matter how spiritual you are, you know. By the way, have you seen that I don't need to sell my hummus to the goyim? You know, I as a Jew, I'm going to keep clean, but the goyim, they can be put down. And then we ask, why with the Jewish people we are not looking with good face? You know, we need to be very careful. Yeshua said, don't look the little speckle in your neighbor's eye. Look the big log in your own eye. You know, we are always pointing to them, but there are 3 fingers back to us. Why? Because this is the hypocrisy of this world that they want to teach you. And this is the Hametz. That is the reason that we need 7 days of Hametz, no Hametz. You see, what was the thing that Hametz does? You know, the rabbis say that Hametz is the flavor. Other rabbis say is the putting up. And both has a good meaning if we want to allegorize. You know? The flavor it is that, you know what, I am pompous. Okay? I am inflated. Okay? I am very proud. Pride is my label. And what happens when you have pride? You are greater than God Himself. That's how you feel. Why do you need God if you're so big, so good, so great? You know, you can be so proud because of your ways. You can be so proud because of your talent. And you can be proud because you're so pious. And this is one thing that our Creator is trying to teach us. That the only way that we can go to Him if we humble ourselves and we are flat. If we are not flat, we cannot go to Him. Because meanwhile we're inflated with pride, how we can get close to Him? We don't need God if we are so full of ourselves. Have you seen the possibility? And you have examined yourself sometimes. That how many of us who has come to the point to think, you know what? I am not as bad as the others. How many times I have heard those statements from so many people, even including in this place. I am talking. But I am not like them. I don't do what they do. So what? Maybe you don't do what they do, but you do worse things that nobody sees you. Okay? What is the difference? The difference is that I saw them and they didn't see me. You know, sadly enough, this week I saw what do you call it, recording a video from now it's very dangerous here to do anything, by the way, everybody is recording you. Okay, you need to be very careful. A policeman in the United States that shoot 8 times to a person who was running away from him. And the only thing that you see in this is the policeman shooting this man running 8 times. Then suddenly you see that he throws something on him. But he put it, even after he had shot it 8 times, he put the spouses on his back. Okay? What do you call it? The handcuffs. In Spanish it's esposas. The wives. That Spanish people are very good about symbolism. Okay? Okay, anyway. Let's go back to the message. Okay? After he was shot 8 times, he had the husband to put the handcuffs. Okay. Now, he said, he calls, and then there is a recording. It's a man that tried to attack me. I need help. The man didn't have any weapon. The only thing that he was doing is running from his car. And was not a young man. And the policeman was young. The policeman could reach the man, could stop it, and that was. Because what? They have the badge, the authority. That's what I'm talking about. When you are put being a servant, you become a lord. Okay? This is what is sad. The person in his own mind, he thought he was greater than God. He had the right of life and death. He could kill anybody because he had the badge. And then he plays the game. The problem that he didn't know is he was being recorded by others. There are so many things. Well, let me tell you one news. You and I, we are being recorded by a better iPhone that you have today. You see, this is the reason why we need 7 days to get the habits. You know, the day they come to you and say to you, I am so holy and thank God for my holiness, please throw me out of this place. Because this is the worst thing that any person can do. You know, one thing I like in Moshe Rabbeinu, from the beginning he acknowledged that he was not capable for the task. And believe me or not, our Creator knew that too. But he said, do not worry. If you do what I'm telling to you, you're obedient, I help you to accomplish the task. Because it's not you, it's I in you. That's what our Messiah Yashuv came to teach us. It's not the power of him, it's the power of his Father who is in heaven. He was capable to do many things because he was chosen for that role. You know, why you ask yourself why he died on Pesach? You know, why he didn't die on Shavuot, giving the Torah? He was the incarnated Torah, they say, no? Or why he didn't die on Yom Kippur for the forgiveness of our sins? Why he died? Why he didn't die on Sukkot, that he was going to be our shelter for life? He died on Pesach. We need to understand what Pesach is all about. It. Because meanwhile we do not understand the festival, we are going to be constantly making ideas that they are not. Pesach is a festival of coming in attention to the reality that God, our Creator, is with us and He wants to us to change our direction. We were slaves, now we are going to be free. But that slavery is not only a slavery about a physical slavery. You see, the problem with Israel was not the physical slavery. They were very content in Egypt until what happened? The Pharaoh and the master start getting hard on them. Meanwhile, everything was hunky-dory. No question about it. We are doing okay. It's only when they start pushing us and forcing us and making our life a little bit uncomfortable is when we start asking for help. And how do you ask for help? No, to get me out of Egypt. Please, can you tell Pharaoh not to be so hard? We are doing our job. We are working. We are making Egypt more prosperous. We are good workers. We do our best. Please tell them not to hurt us. How many times I have told you that the same idea goes with the Shoah? That we're pretty soon we are going to remember again, memorial too. Why? Because if you study very carefully the situation in the Shoah just prior to Hitler, the Jewish people in those countries in Europe, especially in Germany, they have become so sophisticated, so elevated, that they were almost not only assimilated, but they wanted to be like Germans. By the way, there is a saying in Europe, in almost all the countries, of the Jewish people who live in those areas, that they say they are first members of the nation, and then after that they're Jewish. You know, for example, the English Jews, they say we're British first, and then we're Jewish, when it's convenient. With the German was exactly the same thing. We are Germans first, Jews second. Well, what happened in Egypt. We are Egyptians first, but also we are Jews because we are here. Then how God will deal with that situation? How would make these people to understand that you're not one of them, you're not part of them, and they don't like you? What they do, very simple. You know, God allows these powers to take over Israel and make Israel as miserable as it could be. In that way, Israel would say and open their eyes and say, help, help, help. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. This is the idea about Pesach. Coming out of a system that would have been literally blur our minds, and we are almost like a drunk on their understanding. We do not have a cognitive understanding what is happening to us. It's like we are drugged by this world. We are walking like zombies. We do not have any longer our own understanding. We follow the steps of what everybody tells us. We are like a little animal. We are like a cattle that we walk and walk without knowing where we are going. That's the constant problem of Israel. Then this is the reason that Israel needed to go back to the promised land. And this is the reason that Israel needed to understand that they have their own place and they don't need to bow their heads to any power of the world. But the story repeats again. Even when they were in their own land, they start bowing their heads to other powers that were bigger or greater, or that were more economical in favor of them. Why? Because the question is, in whom do you trust? This is the question. And we need to understand here, in this situation, Israel is an example of what is happening to humanity. I wrote an article about Israel is the thermometer of the coming of Mashiach, based on Shear, Hanabi, the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 38 and 39. The words of God to Magog, where our great Rabbi has talking abundantly about those subjects. You know, what I would call it, the pains of Mashiach, Hoblein Shear HaMashiach. The birth pains of Messiah. This is how the rabbis are going to identify the birth pains of Messiah. Already saying you that the Messiah is going to suffer. It's not an invention of somebody to say that the Messiah was going to suffer. It is part of our understanding. The problem is when we mix a religion with the Torah, and we make the religion impose on the Torah meanings and understandings, and we destroy the ideas that come from the Torah, the revelation of the Torah about who the true Messiah is and what the Messiah was going to do. Pesach is important. I ask you, why Yeshua died on Pesach? Do you know that in our traditions, it's in Pesach who is going to come, Elijah, and he's going to announce the Messiah? I don't know if you have had this ceremony when you celebrate Pesach, and then you first of all you set a table for Elijah Hanabi, for Eliyahu Hanavi, you know. And then at the end of the Passover, what do? The Pesach, the Seder, you go and send a child to open the door to check if Elijah has come. Why? Because if Elijah comes, Mashiach comes. The question is, but then why Yeshua, if he was the Messiah, he left before he came? You know? That's another question. Because he came, he showed them what he was, what he did, and what is coming. Now is coming Mashiach ben David, and we are waiting for him. Because Mashiach ben Yosef has already come. The leprous Mashiach, the suffering Mashiach came, and came for a reason. To bring us together as a people, to make us understand that without our Creator we cannot survive. But even with all of this, without the Torah, we are lost. We keep preferring the religious traditions than the revelation of God. We are based now on traditions. Depending which religion you are, which religion you believe, you have your own book beside the Torah. And those books have precedence over Torah. You know, the Shear, you know, is before the Shear Ketiv. Why? The oral Torah precedes in authority over the Torah. And then in the religion of Christianity, you have the New Testament, the called New Testament, who has precedence and more authority than the Tanakh, what is called by the Christian Old Testament. And lo and behold, you have Islam. It's not interesting? Islam is not behind. Islam copy. And what they have done? They have now the book, they call the Quran. And the Quran has precedence over the New Testament and over the Tanakh and of course the Torah. You know, each one of these religions, they tell you that their principal books, they precede or they are more important than the Torah itself. We need to be very careful when you fall in the traps. This is the time that we need to examine ourselves and what is inflating us. What is the habits that we have accumulated inside us? Maybe I am so proud because my religion is the only true religion. How many times I have heard people saying, my religion is the true religion. You are a heretic. Well, I have been heretic so many times that there's not one, they say no one strike more to the tiger doesn't make any difference. But you know what? This is interesting. These people, holier than thou, they know exactly what our Creator wants. They know exactly how He did it, and they know exactly what it is. They know everything. They have answers for everything. The humility is gone long time ago. They are so puffed up, so inflated with themselves and with the religion, with the idea. We are the only one that has the truth, they tell you. And then they say to you, if you don't believe in my way, you go to hell. I have never seen so many people that they love to send to hell so many people. You know? The only way that you can go to their place that they call it heaven, you know, is you believe exactly the way that they believe. And you need to follow exactly their words and the steps. And if you, for any reason, you have a doubt about what they say, Satan has taken you. You know, I always say, How easy it is to blame Hasatan for everything, you know? Instead to look at ourselves and to we give it to Hasatan more power than he has. It's very easy to blame him instead of me. I didn't do it, by the way. Satan tempted me, made me do it. It's so interesting that I hear so many people saying to me those things. And I say, where do they get these ideas? And then, this idea about escapism. You need to learn about religion to give you escapes. Okay? Ways to get off and not to face the reality of the presence of the just, righteous God. And this idea is sold out completely by selling you out to an idea that somebody else is going to pay for you. You see, now you can wash your hands. It's not my fault. That sounds not in certain parts. They say, I wash my hands. It's not my problem. I blame somebody else, or somebody else take my fault. I am not any longer responsible for what I did. Somebody else paid for me. Another religion that teaches you that if you kill a lot of people, if you destroy a lot of people, you are going to, not only if you die killing other people, you go directly to paradise. And then you're going to bless with a lot of young girls. The problem is what we do with the women. And I was reading an article, and they say, well, these women that they die as a martyr. The women are giving to a very high people that martyr that have died. Still in their paradise, there is still a difference. The poor women, they don't get out of that. And then, and what is the religion of Orthodox Judaism? Who are the one that goes, doesn't go? I am glad that they don't have a very clear idea about those things, But they tell you, if you keep, some of them they tell you that if you keep the mitzvot. The problem is sometimes you need to ask yourself, which mitzvot do you need to keep and which mitzvot you don't keep? And that becomes a little bit difficult. But one thing about the Torah that is you very clear. You and only you, listen carefully, you and only you is responsible for your own actions. We are responsible for our own actions. And we cannot blame anybody else for what we have done. This is the reason that the only recourse that the Torah gives to us is the teshuvah. The coming back to God, to acknowledge what we are, what we have done, to do reparation, and then the doors are open to have a new character. We are created. I want to tell you, to finish here, because this is an extra Shabbat they have been giving us about Pesach. And sometimes we're trying to bring new ideas and new things. If I read to you what in the rabbinical understanding about what is hametz and what is not hametz, sometimes you're going to get confused. I like to tell you that the best thing during these days, it is avoid to eat bread, and keep your house clean. And the idea to keep your house clean, to me the most important idea, it is what is your real house, your real home, in yourself. And this is the time that you really need to search. Search for the hametz that is within you. This is what you need to do. we need to do. You know, let's make a balance about what we have been holding us for too long. Have you ever asked yourself, I am holding this for so long that I don't want to let it go? That this has become more important? Only think in this way. You see, God took us out of the house of servant, to the house of freedom. The question is, the first Israelis, they were taken by Egypt, and they didn't want to leave Egypt in spite of how the treatment was. The only thing that they wanted was for them to reduce the oppression, But they were too comfortable in the way that they were. They wanted not to change. God constantly is asking us for renewal and for change. Constantly. When you are too comfortable, this is to me a spiritual truth. When you are too comfortable, our Creator starts shaking your chair. Okay? And make you feel that you are moving. There is an earthquake. Something is happening. How many of us, we have been saying, boy, this week has been so hard. Or this time, everything they tried has been wrong. Everything they tried was the wrong way. I tried to do this right, but nothing came right. Ask yourself, maybe you are too comfortable. You don't want to move. And our Creator say to you, move, change, be different, improve, accept your mistakes and change instead to blame others about what you are doing. And you're going to realize that most of the time, when we are upset, there is something wrong in us. Righteous acceptance is when you see injustice. That's it. Righteous indignation. That's good. You need to be upset when there is injustice. But when you lose your temper and you start screaming or becoming crazy, the problem is not outside. The problem is inside. That's the habits. And all of us has accumulated habits. There's nothing worse sometimes when you lose your temper and then you realize that everything is your fault. And you don't have anybody to blame for it. And then what it comes? What I call it the hungry spirit. That's when you really go down and you humble yourself before the person, and the most important, you humble before God. Because that's how King David said, this is the only way that God receives us, with a contrite heart. And the contrite heart, remember in Hebrew, heart is not feelings. Heart is facts. I'm not feeling well. No. It's not feelings. I know that I did wrong. And that's the reason I feel rotten. And I need to make it right. This is what our God is asking us. I am glad that we are in the 8th day and we do not need to keep more eating maksha, but have a wonderful time. We are counting the Omer. We are in the 7th day of the Omer. Tonight we counted 48, and we are going to keep counting the numbers until the 50